so I grew up in Atlanta, and I actually went to high school in Houston. So when you think of foreigners, you often think of maybe Hispanics or people Oriental persuasions, or maybe African American descent, those sorts of things. And you think of foreigners, sometimes you think of people that look very different. When I got to Ukraine, one of the things that really just kind of blew my mind was these people look exactly like Americans do. They're the same sort of physical features, I suppose, that I was used to. So it wasn't like a huge shock as like, oh, I'm surrounded, I'm out of my element. People couldn't look at me per se right off the bat and be like, oh, that guy is not Ukrainian. So that was interesting. It was definitely a different mindset there. Ukraine is not the Donetsk area is not very clean. From the environment to the way the city is maintained, it's just really not very clean. The Soviet infrastructure is still very much a part of daily life there, of where people live and what people do. So those buildings and those structures that were built, 50, 60 years ago, they haven't really been maintained. They were built to last forever. They're just big concrete blocks, not very pretty, very utilitarian. And it's interesting because it's kind of a gross sort of look to it. They don't particularly pick up trash as well as we do in the United States. They're not as against littering, I suppose, as people in the United States might tend to be. So a little bit that was. And so Donetsk is historically a mining town. So a lot of coal mining. So there's a lot of pollution in the air. The Donetsk area has a smell to it, and you can just smell. I remember most of my mission I was in that area, except for one area. For about 4.5 months, I was in the northern part of my mission. Beautiful area, clean air, super nice. And I remember getting off the bus, coming back down, stepped off the bus and said, yep, I'm back in Donetsk again. You could smell that kind of gritty pollution. So yeah, that's what really hit me the first time getting off the plane into Donetsk as well. This place is kind of dirty, but I grew to love it, absolutely love it. And I miss it to this day. Let's see. I remember going out and trying to talk to people about the church for the first time. It was, I'll say it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. And I say that because I didn't even know what I was doing. I didn't even know what to be afraid of. I was with missionaries that spoke Russian. So I just went up to a random person and started trying to talk to them. And when they responded to me, I'd look at them and look at the companion next to me who spoke Russian and look back at them and just kind of stop talking, and they'd usually take over. So, it wasn't a lot to be afraid of. If they started yelling at me, well, that was unfortunate, but I didn't know what they were saying, so I couldn't get mad or how to react. I just kind of walk away awkwardly. But that was a really, really fun time trying to I remember the first time I placed my first Book of Mormon on my mission. I can remember it. It was on a bridge, and probably 100, 200 meters away from the mission home. We'd started walking, from the mission office towards the mission home. And I remember talking to this guy, and we gave him the Book of Mormon, and afterwards said, "Gee, so do you think he's going to call? He's going to get baptized?" And my companion's like, "I don't know, we'll see." And I don't know, it was just, I remember that excitement of giving a first Ukrainian man a Book of Mormon. There were hundreds more Book of Mormons later, still got that same thrill every time someone accepted the book. So